Third, in the past, you have liberated the flowers in the whole world of design. Where are you going now with your work?
Okay. At the moment, I'm looking more at cities and living in cities, and looking at the structures of the buildings that are made in the cities. So it's going back to, say, Victorian past and the first skyscrapers of Louis Sullivan and then Mies van der Rohe and the very industrial metal structures. But at the same time looking at materials that bring in material elegance and romanticism to that modernism.
How is your relation with Marazzo, and where did you meet Patricia?
The relation with Marazzo, I think, is a very creative relationship. And it started actually quite long ago now, in 2004. At that point, Patricia had seen some lights which I designed, a garden light and a blossom chandelier for Swarovski. And one is very affordable and the other one is very luxurious, but both are very romantic, fairy tale-y kind of products. And because she liked them so much, that's why she called me one day and asked if I wanted to start working with them. To begin with, we did a show in the showroom in Milan, where we created a large installation called Happy Ever After. And this became like a fairy tale world with a lot of different emotions. There was an entrance which was very colorful and dynamic and energetic, with a lot of color and spinning fabrics and like a ballet. Then there was a very romantic, beautiful white moment, but also scary. And like in a fairy tale, there were different characters. Like there were witches and princesses and hunters, but all represented through chairs and furniture and textile. This kind of storytelling through design and installation then became something we continued exploring for a while. And we stayed within this whole world of fairy tales and romanticism for a long time. And partly also because we felt at that time there was something missing in design, something very warm, very human, and something to do with imagination. So we kind of tried to create space for that imaginative fairy tale world that is so much part of our history as a human society. And then after that we became very interested in the garden, and we explored the garden through different pieces of furniture, including also going to Dakar and working with people in Senegal on the shadowy chair, for example. And at the moment, kind of the interest has shifted again. Kind of, I used to live in the forest in France, and now I live in the middle of London again. So it's also changing where I am personally, where the work's objective is going. So at the moment I'm looking a lot at cities and the buildings, the structures of buildings, starting with the very early skyscrapers and modernist buildings and their amazing steel fabricated frames. So there's no wood or bricks in those buildings anymore. It's all metal and glass. But exploring maybe the metal and those materials from a kind of craft precision as well. For example, this sofa is made by machines that can do things that we can't do by hand anymore. The machines are so industrial that they have so much force to bend the aluminium that it becomes permanent, and you can sit on this arm without it bending anymore. But I like also to expose all the nuts and bolts of the construction. So it's like the Brooklyn Bridge, for example.
How is the mood of your new collection?
Okay. This new collection is taking place very much in the city. When I started, I imagined this title, the 22nd floor, and imagine a person living on the 22nd floor in a city, which is very beautiful because you can look over the whole landscape of the city. But at the same time, you don't have enormous amount of space. So it's about being compact, but at the same time, there's a sense of elegance and material quality you would like to have in that environment as well. And how that city that you see outside the window comes back into the apartment. Yeah? So therefore, metal, which is very much around in the city, and glass will become part of the furniture inside the apartment. And this kind of minimal construction, but at the same time, there's elegance as well that comes in. And I was looking at this kind of elegance that you find in Hitchcock or Fellini films, the world of movie stars. So also trying to bring an element of glamour into the furniture.
How was the relation with your students at the Royal College?
I think it was a very kind of relaxed relationship in a way. I mean, it's not so long ago that I was a student myself, so I remember it very strongly, and how important it is to have a time at being at the college where you feel completely free to experiment and discover who you really are as a designer and what you are interested in, but doing it together with other people. So it's, for me, it was very important to create a culture of sharing and experimenting and trust, in which students help each other with their projects, and teachers come in to work with the students. And it's not a traditional master-student relationship. It's much more equal in that sense. Within the college, we created a very hands-on kind of approach to design. So yeah, we talk a lot and we make drawings on the computer, but at the same time we spend a lot of time in the workshop. And actually the boundary between the workshop and the computer space is completely blurred. So it's very much about very hands-on, trying things with materials, even often building our own machines to try new things with materials as well.
Which is your relation with William Morris tradition?
Okay. Well, William Morris is one of my, I've got many, but he's definitely one of my heroes in design.
Me too.
I'm a big admirer of his work, his patterns, but also in the way he was looking of how does it make sense as a designer, as an artist, to make objects, functional objects in the world we live in. And he did it at his time, in the 1850s and the 1900s, and now it's a different world we live in with different requirements, but the fundamental questions of how do you make, and what kind of objects do you make? And I think I share kind of a passion for quality and things that are really well made, have a durability, but also, of course, the pattern and a love of nature, bringing that into the work. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.